welcome to Somerset Sports Talk, presentation of Somerset County Recreation Parks and Tourism. I'm Gary.
I'm Jack.
And we are here with our post-Super Bowl analysis because we couldn't get here for our pre-Super Bowl analysis.
It's been a while since we've
That's right.
put it out there, so to speak.
That's right. We kind of like save everything up for one big shot and then we're gone for a couple of weeks.
Like, who won?
Yeah, what? Well, that was when? It was only a week.
I'm old. I can't remember that
A week
back.
ago, that's right. I have notes. That's what I
good.
bring. I bring
That's
notes
good.
with us.
All right.
So, another Super Bowl has come and
Yeah.
gone.
How about it?
I do believe that I might have picked San Francisco, like early in the season.
Yeah.
As I recall, I couldn't find our notes.
Yeah.
That I picked I think I picked San Francisco.
We'll have to go back
Miami.
and watch the shows.
Well, I should have.
There's the answer.
That's it.
We gotta love our shows, so we go back and watch them. I know I didn't pick. I might have picked San Francisco, but I think I picked Baltimore.
Yeah, and I think I went with Miami, and I wanted to
on
be
the
like
AFC side. Yeah.
I wanted to have a hot take.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hot take ended in a cold stadium.
Yeah.
So
San Francisco was a great pick, and ultimately should have won, but they didn't, and that's how it goes.
well, you know what?
Because Superman's on the other side.
Well, yeah. It's not too many people. Like, I'm surprised people even bet for San Francisco because who's going to bet against
Well,
Patrick Mahomes?
not only that, he was getting 2 points. It was
Yeah.
+2.
Yeah.
He said, "There's no way Kansas City's an underdog."
Yeah.
He got all fired up about it. But I tell you what, they got lucky, and that's all part of any game like that. The first half was kind of slow, great defensive battle, back and forth, but 2 fumbles made it equal,
Yeah.
or equaler, I guess. The first one, when they were running down that field, that first possession, and literally running down the field because McCaffrey was just humping it down, humping it down the field. I thought, whoa, this could be it. This could be the powerhouse offense coming to play the game the way they can play the game, and watch out, Kansas City. Too bad for you. And then I don't know who stripped him, but he lost that ball. McCaffrey did.
Yeah.
And changed the momentum, even though it was only the first series. And then it kind of just got stale. And then it really wasn't going well for Kansas City for the most part.
Yeah.
Because they were down 10-0. San Francisco finally did get a touchdown and then a field goal.
Yeah.
Before half. And then right in the last series before half, Kansas City ended up getting that field goal. And I listened to Dan Patrick, our guy, and I've listened to others. Patrick said he sat back after halftime and lit up a cigar.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
Because he knew that Kansas
They
City
got him
was
right where we
gonna
want
win.
him. Yep.
Not enough points. And then I heard that on numerous occasions with all the pundits and all the experts. It's one that they didn't score enough points. That Kansas City can always come back.
And I thought the defense for San Francisco was doing a good job.
Pretty good job.
And I think Romo, who a lot of people bash, but
I don't know why.
I like Tony Romo
I like him a lot.
because he brings a lightheartedness to the
guess.
game. It's not so like Troy Aikman's like more serious.
Yeah.
Just the way his tone.
Yeah.
Tony Romo's like, hey, watch this. They're gonna throw this pass to
Well,
this
he
guy
knows.
right here.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
People hate it because he predicts it.
Yeah, but he was saying how well Bosa was keeping Mahomes in the pocket.
Yeah.
He would not let him
Not
get
let
out.
him
And
get
when
outside.
he did, he didn't get outside
Right.
where he had
Right.
like room or time to throw. He established
Absolutely.
the pocket. And he might not have had a lot of sacks, but he was, and
Well,
that
that's how you-
defense
but
was
the-
doing that.
Your scheme has to be no sacks. You're not going to get that many sacks unless you're bum rushing them.
Yeah.
But what they did was they took the strength of his escape artistry and
Right.
kept it to a minimum for most of the game.
Yeah.
And that was a great plan, and it executed it well, and worked for the most part. Because unless well, look what happened. First series of the second half, you think, okay, Kansas City's going to go right down the field,
Yeah.
3 and out. Didn't happen. I think it was 3 and out back. Then 3 and out again, they punt it. Could have the wrong series there, but they punt it, and it goes off San Francisco's foot.
Yeah.
Live ball. The guy tries to pick it up. Kansas City gets it down on the 10-yard or whatever it was. Complete flip.
Yeah, everything.
And without that,
and
they wouldn't have scored a touchdown the whole game until the last, they scored the last touchdown. But up until that point, the legitimate driving touchdown, they got one. That's a heck of a job by the San Francisco defense. And to malign, and they fired that
That's
guy.
what I was going to say.
They fired him. But apparently his personality didn't really fit in with what Shanahan wanted or something. I heard that.
Well,
Florio was talking about that.
They kind of have to say that, don't they?
Well,
it wasn't. Everybody said it wasn't a good fit. It wasn't because of that game. It wasn't a good fit.
Right.
If they won, do you think he's fired?
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
How do you fire him?
Yeah.
But hey, listen.
Who stops Mahomes?
Anything happens these days.
Yeah.
Anything in the NFL. The NFL as a whole. So, I thought that it was an exciting game, no doubt. And the second half was pretty. Fourth quarter. I predicted had a little wager on the under in the first quarter and the over in the second half. Check those two boxes. Thank you very much. That was a little help for the old pocketbook.
There you go.
But why is it that this guy, Mahomes, when they kick a field goal in overtime, and I didn't even know until it was explained that it's a regular game.
Right. I didn't either.
And they could have run the clock out down on the goal line and then gone to the other way
side and kept playing
because it's the same as the second quarter or second half or second quarter. I didn't know that, and apparently not a lot of the Giants or San Francisco knew either, because they kind of fast snapped it on that third down play or whatever it was, and then threw the touchdown.
Yeah,
but
and that was a big issue.
That was a big issue.
Listening to talk shows, they really made a big deal that. Did Kyle Shanahan not know the rules?
I don't think Shanahan was the one. I think he knew, but it was how the other, it wasn't disseminated completely down
to his players.
Down the players.
But if he knew it, I guess.
But where he was getting bashed or questioned was why they had the choice to receive or kick off.
Right.
So because they won the toss, right?
Yeah.
So analytics said that if you get to the third possession that you're going to win. So they hadn't been scoring touchdowns. They figured worst we can do is field goal, and then we'll hold them to a field goal or we'll win outright, eventually because we're just going to hold them. Well, Mahomes don't work that way.
No,
and when you get the ball after a score like they did, you're going 4 downs every time. You're giving them an extra down because there's no doubt
they have.
You got to go all the way.
Yeah.
And I heard that had San Francisco scored
a touchdown
and an extra point, that had the same thing happen that they would have gone for two.
And that's therein lies the rub.
There you go.
Because now look, if he felt strong, and I'm guessing he did, and people are bashing him for this. If he felt we're going to get a touchdown, they might get a touchdown. Maybe not considering they'd go for two. I take my chances of keeping Mahomes out from the two, for the extra point.
Exactly.
But it does make sense then to say, well, we'll have the third possession. All we need is a field goal is to win.
That's right.
So there is some logic
there is some logic
that,
to it, yeah.
And not, he didn't know the rules, so he picked the wrong choice.
Andy Reid was interviewed.
Yeah.
Had you won it, what would you have done with it? He said we'd have taken it. Or no, we would have kicked it.
Kicked it.
Yeah.
Yep. Because their whole plan was, we're going to go for two.
Right. Anyway,
if we get the touchdown,
they score, we're going for two anyway.
Yeah, because we're not going to give them
another shot,
a third shot.
That's right. Based probably on the analytics.
Yeah,
because that's what it says they're going to score.
Yeah, and
so there you go.
And who knows if they scored that touchdown? There's so many ifs. And
the other part that Shanahan's getting his getting a little beat up on is the play calling in the second half.
Yeah.
And that they went away from the run game, And the contention was, I think you probably heard the same show, that Purdy was the light of the eye of Shanahan, wanted to make him a star.
Yeah.
And that he just kept
I took him from
throwing
Mr.
and
Irrelevant
throwing and
all the
throwing.
way to...
I can tell you what a bad wager was it pass attempts for both quarterbacks. I thought it would be a running game for a lot of it. But no, there was a lot of passing going on.
I did too. I thought, and here's what I had. I picked Kansas City 28-24.
That's pretty good.
And my MVP, I picked Pacheco. Yeah. Because I saw what the Packers did, and I saw what the Lions did, and they were able to run on the 49ers.
Right.
And I thought, well, Pacheco's been playing really well.
Yeah.
And that was, my guy for MVP, because I thought he was going to have
they shut him down
like
good.
a 100-yard game and a touchdown or two.
Yeah.
Because I thought once they got down to the goal line, they'll be able to punch that in. But
I had some busted, prop wagers that were based on similar thinking.
Yeah.
So they just didn't happen.
Yeah, and I thought that's what I thought it was going to be more of a running attack.
Yeah.
And now, was it a good game or was it a great game?
Well, you're hearing. I watched Pardon the Interruption there with the old timers that I love listening to still, Kornheiser and Wilbon.
Yeah.
And Wilbon's like, is this the greatest game ever, Tony? And Tony's like, I can think of 4 or 5 minutes. Might be a little bit better. But
yeah.
He kind of brushed him off. I don't think he wanted to say, are you kidding me? This is not the greatest game.
Yeah.
It was an exciting finish. It wasn't maybe necessarily the best executed offense. The defensive plans worked well on both sides. There was certainly a ton of effort. I heard this too. The umpires, refs, what do you want to call them, let them play.
Yeah.
They didn't throw a lot of flags.
No, there weren't
a lot of like unnecessary calls.
And there weren't really any. Oh, come on! They blew that one.
No, that
was
That was great. Yeah.
Really, the whole game turned on a punt that hits somebody's heel on the fly.
Pretty much. Plus,
and bounces off his foot.
The last drive, there were 2 plays that Mahomes created from nothing. So you got to give him props on that. And then Kelsey put one of the great moves for a big man. He left that dude sitting on his jock strap at the line of scrimmage, or right off the line of scrimmage, because he faked it right and he took a hard left, and Mahomes hit him in stride. And that 30 yards down that left side, that was the key to the ability for them to get in. Now again, it wasn't a matter of the clock being run out. I thought there was a problem.
Yeah.
They weren't calling timeout. They weren't doing this. And then I heard, they were going to just go down the field and start it up on the other end.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
And apparently this goes on until you get a winner.
Yeah.
There's no end of the game arbitrarily.
Right.
It's whoever, I guess,
because it came after
a certain point, if you go ahead, then you win, I guess. If both teams have had the possession.
And a chance to score.
So then whoever gets ahead of the next
score
wins. Yeah. So there is an end to it, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to play where one team is 20 up and the other team,
right. It's not like a regular game.
You're not wasting clock towards the
end. Where
you
play a whole other game.
Okay, I get it.
It's just,
but it was the first time it was done, I think, isn't it? Or similar? Maybe back in the early days.
Well, because it's the first overtime in the Super Bowl since this new rule.
Yeah, that's right. How long has the rule been in place?
Like a year or two.
Yeah, it's not been long.
Because somebody didn't get a chance last year to...
Right. Yeah. Well, it was the same thing. Where
but how many sports have different rules for regular season and playoffs?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
I get that in the regular season they don't want to.
It's a long season. They don't want to hurt the players.
Because they played a whole 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And in the regular season, I know the overtime is just a 10-minute period.
Yeah.
And then they can end in a tie.
Right.
So.
Right. That was changed.
And then you were talking about Mahomes and the plays he made.
Yeah.
The one play, I think it was the only 4th down they had.
Yeah.
And they called a rollout, and he and Kelsey were on the same side. So he was either going to throw it to Kelsey,
right,
which I think he did. I can't remember, or he was going to run it.
Right.
It was one of those bootlegs where they and the kind of the linebacker either has to go with the receiver. And I thought, how appropriate is it that biggest play
Go to your players.
Biggest, and you go to your two best.
Gotta go
Andy
to your
Reid
players.
that's a smart call. It's like you two got us here.
Guy
You two
knows
are going
what
to
he's
keep us
got,
going.
and you're going to use it.
And
that's the whole point.
It's so funny. Like, I saw something today, and it was a clip when, I guess it was the Eagles, Patriots, and Andy Reid was. That's when McNabb played for the Eagles. Andy Reid.
Yeah, that's right.
And how young he looked. And then you see him, and he looks like this grandfatherly guy.
He is.
And he's looking at his play sheet. It looks like he's just reading the newspaper, and and then he'll look up and he'll say something. But it just
the players just love him.
Oh yeah,
he has that connection with him.
I saw him.
How about the bump? We haven't even talked about the bump on the sideline. But he flushed that down the toilet like it never happened. He didn't care. He said, not the first time.
Yeah.
He's a passionate guy. He says, I like the passion.
I love passion, yeah. He said he could have bumped me all the way to the other side of the 50. Now, I do think if you get a chance, I see some of their stuff on TikTok. The Kelsey brothers have a podcast.
Yeah, very popular.
The Heights,
very popular.
And I guess Jason got Travis to kind of admit that it was over the line.
Oh, he did. Yeah, I heard
Travis
that.
said,
I heard that.
That was over the line.
One of the funnier, meme type things, and maybe it became a meme, or I don't know, because I don't watch any of that stuff. But somebody said, one of the Danettes, I think it was where I heard this, was like, well, you know what? It kind of looks like when he goes over to him, he's like, hey, Coach, Taylor's up there watching me. You got to keep me in the game. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
The old Taylor Swift situation, man. It was unreal. You know how much those tickets cost on average?
$8,000.
$8,000.
Isn't that something?
Wow. And the suites, like those suites where she is,
yeah,
$2.5 million.
Oh yeah.
And there was one for $5 million. It's a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Well, the NFL's going to do everything they can to make money. That's too bad.
The regular guy. There were some fans that went from Kansas City to the game apparently and were interviewed because they weren't in the stadium.
Yeah, they couldn't.
We couldn't afford
tickets, so they just went to Las Vegas.
So they went just outside, hung out, and but it was a star-studded.
Yeah,
everybody was there for all the purposes.
Well, the cutaways are the rich people who can afford the tickets.
Exactly.
Actors, actresses,
but even the ones
athletes.
You gotta wonder that aren't the known ones, and
singers.
Where all these other people get $8,000.
Well, I heard it's a lot of corporate tickets. So
it's got to be.
Coca-Cola has 100 people.
They give them out to their employees. Or whatever.
Yeah, so they let them.
I've never been to one, so I can't tell you that
no,
it's an experience worthwhile doing. But
no, I thought in the end it was a good game.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Wasn't great. Wasn't great.
I didn't think it was one that you're gonna.
But it was good, and there weren't a lot of
future.
turnovers, so it was good. Could have been more scoring. I expected more scoring, but good game. Second half much better. The ending was probably great.
Yeah.
So, pretty.
And
entertaining.
now the word three-peat, if that's one word, maybe two, but.
Maybe one.
It's probably one.
Yeah.
Has entered the conversation for going forward to next year, and how will that motivate the players on Kansas City to re-up?
Yeah.
Or take a pay cut, or whatever.
Because
Chris Jones, who basically made the defensive play of the game by rushing on Purdy, because Ayuk was wide open, or whoever it was. I think it was Ayuk.
Yeah.
And that would have changed everything, obviously. And he got to him. And boom. So he's a free agent, and he could break the bank if he wanted.
He said he's staying. He told the crowd at the parade.
Yeah, he said he's staying?
Yeah.
Well, you never know. They all lie.
Yeah.
But Andy Reid said he's coming back, too.
Yeah.
He's going to keep coming back. You got no reason to stop.
Yeah.
If you got Mahomes.
Why?
Ride that pony.
Ride that horse as long as
you're
long
catch
as you
Belichick.
Can gallop. Yeah.
If he could hang around another 10 years, he'll be the top dog.
Yeah.
You do the math. It's like, let's see, 10 wins a year minimum for 10 years, 100 more wins.
Yeah.
Whoo! I'm getting up there.
No, I don't know how old Andy Reid is.
So. He is 66.
Is that
I think
old?
He's 3 years older than me. Yeah.
66. So he's
So 66.
Belichick was 72.
72. And so
Carroll was 72 or 73.
Yeah. I think the 70 mark, if he can make it to the 70 mark, that would be
that'd be good.
Be good. 3 or 4 more years.
Yeah. So
it'll be yeah. There's how many days till football starts again? I heard that the other day. I just thought, wow, that's true.
well, the combine's coming up.
Oh, there's so much to go.
And then the draft,
the off-season.
and then OTAs.
All the speculations. Speaking of speculation, did you have an idea to predict for next year?
You want to predict? What do you got?
I don't know. I haven't really thought through much.
I haven't either. That's what makes it fun. Cause what do we know?
There's so many things that can happen. This quarterback class is a pretty strong class, and if you look what happened with Texas and the impact that Stroud made, any one of these 5 guys, apparently there's 5 that are top level potential NFL starters right away. And Washington's got number 2 pick, my team. I think I'd call them my team.
They won't make the Super Bowl next year.
But they will not make the Super Bowl.
That's a guarantee. That's a prediction I can make.
Who they pick will make it an interesting, where everyone else ends up. Because if a Jaden Hill or whatever his name is, Daniel, is it Jaden?
Yeah.
He was the winner, the Heisman winner, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say he's the next Stroud. He just explodes. But he does it for wherever he might end up. I don't know who's got the 5th or 10th or 12th. I don't even know where he'd go in the round. But let's just say he goes to pretty good team, Cleveland. Let's say Cleveland gets him.
Yeah.
He's got a solid base.
Yeah.
They could kind of come out of nowhere and surprise people. So predicting is ludicrous, really, when you think about it. But I know that the odds are there already for next year for the teams. You got to think that San Francisco is still going to have a great team.
And I look at it as who can beat them. Like Detroit, depends on
Detroit got
their
their
player
own way.
two away.
I mean, we didn't have a chance to go over any of those conference final games,
but
poor Detroit, they had that game locked. Well, maybe nothing's ever locked, but if they kick the field goal, if the coach kicks the field goal instead of going for the first down, they're up 3 scores, I guess.
3 scores,
and that changes the complexion of everything that goes on there forward. Momentum switched. Momentum is the key in every major, interaction with any sport, really. If you feel it, it tends to do crazy things to people. Gives them extra strength and speed and clarity, and somehow they start to do things they haven't been doing all game. And we go the opposite way, and we're flipped on our head, and then, wow, look what happened. So Detroit should be, because they're so young, I think they'll be there next year. Goff, he's a good quarterback, better than average. Maybe he's going to be able to do, great things next year. We'll see. So many things in the offseason, but it's just like you've said before about those players that are drafted down the list that have these impacts. And I always like at the end of the year when they show who's playing the starting positions and what round they were drafted in, if they're rookies. Or even if they aren't rookies, if they're second, third year players. That guy was a 5th round pick, and that guy was an undrafted free agent, and like, wow. They're starting now, and they're on these great teams. So it's just talent comes out of the ground. You don't always know that it's there sometimes, and so who knows for next year. But I think it's tough to bet against San Francisco for not having a really competitive team. Kansas City I think they can only get better with a few, picks of receivers and things. And I think the good teams will stay good. I think a couple teams could get better with good drafts or good trades. I think the bad teams are going to remain bad.
Yeah.
I really do.
I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going a repeat. Kansas City, San Francisco.
Repeat
Part
final?
2 next year.
And then San Francisco wins?
I'm not.
You're not predicting that, huh? Well, let me get on my phone here, little DraftKings. I mean, that's what I did. I did that back in September.
Yeah.
And I had both winning teams in my at the end.
There you go. Cha-ching.
So I made some cash. That was my big win there. It was a fun one.
Yeah, I'm going Kansas City, San Francisco. and we'll go Kansas City again. I'm not going to bet against Mahomes.
I think Baltimore goes next year. I think
Right,
Baltimore's going to find a way to beat Kansas City.
Okay, Baltimore and who?
And, we just assume that Mahomes doesn't get injured. Because he doesn't get injured.
Well, you
You never know.
You can't think of those
You
things.
never know. We thought that old man Rodgers was going to be the QB in this year. And
Ooh, I forgot about him coming back with the
second
Jets.
series or third series of the game.
Ooh,
he
the
loses.
Jets might be in the
The
picture
Jets,
next year.
you never know. See, it'll show.
Draft a few offensive linemen to protect Rodgers.
It'll show. So
Got
we'll see
good
exactly.
defense
The
and
defense
some
is
weapons
good.
on
There's some-
offense.
they could surprise some people. Now, I still think Baltimore is in the Super Bowl, and on the other side, I'm going to pick Detroit.
All right. Who do you got to win?
I will say Baltimore is going to pull it out.
You got Baltimore.
Much to the chagrin of my former neighbor, who is a Baltimore crazy, and anytime I get positive about Baltimore, she's like, "But this could happen,
Yeah.
and that could happen, and then this will happen, and they're just not good enough." And I just laugh. You gotta have faith. You gotta have faith. So I could be so far from right, but don't lose that sheet.
I won't.
Put that in a box of where you can find it.
It'll go in the
Put
vault.
it in your desk or something.
That's right.
We can refer back,
Go in the vault.
and then go, "Wow,
And
we
then-
wrong."
One other thing, I feel sorry for the 49ers kicker. What
Yeah.
did he have, the extra point block?
Yeah.
Did he miss a field goal too? I can't
I
remember.
think he did. I think he missed one field goal.
But
he kicked a
the,
few too.
The extra point block,
No, it was
really
no,
the difference.
It was something else. He kicked it low or something.
but yeah. So I feel bad that happened. And I also feel bad that for a brief
Oh, he had the length,
5 minutes, he had the longest kick in Super Bowl history.
Yeah.
He doesn't even get to go home and go, you know what? I have
30
I
minutes
hold the
later.
record for the longest kick in the Super Bowl. Yeah, 15 minutes later, Buckner
He just smoked it.
a yard longer.
Yep.
So he didn't even get that.
He didn't get that.
Yeah, he was the whole.
He was second every
Super Bowl
place. Yeah.
Super Bowl record
He was the
holder.
runner-up everywhere. That
He
night.
could say to his grandkids, "Yeah, your grandpa held the record for Super Bowl
It's
longest
a
kick
lonely life those kickers lead.
for 10 minutes."
Yeah.
So he doubly sad for him. You want to talk about the new coach for the team that you back?
Well, it was an odd process. The Washington team chose Dan Quinn, but their first choice was Ben Johnson, who didn't want to come for some reason, or some, you don't know who's lying, but he was interviewed and apparently on
Was
the
that
way
the
to the
Lions guy?
the
I
offensive, the OC for the Lions.
I heard that.
He just said he didn't like the culture and he didn't see. He
He
saw basketball people in a football organization. That's what the undercurrent of maybe social media came out with. But he didn't admit to that. He said he just wanted to go. But the other side was they said he asked for $15 million.
Yeah,
bucks,
that's a
which
lot for an unproven
is
coach.
because Harbaugh
Got 15,
16.
16.
So
Yeah.
it's a little tight there. And then apparently they wanted the other guy, the DC who went to Seattle, Mike McDonald. That was their second choice, and then I guess Quinn was their third choice. But they don't want to admit that. They say, "Oh, he was our first guy."
Well, you got to.
But that's all the games they play. Now he's hired Kingsbury as the OC. They got rid of Bieniemy. Kingsbury's got a spotty kind of up and down history as a play caller and working with talent. He says he's a running offensive coordinator. Now, doesn't seem so.
They ran that air raid offense.
Sam Howell, who got railroaded into throwing more than anybody in the history of a second-year player, he's going to. Hopefully, they retain him because I think he's still got some game. And I don't know. You listen to the Washingtonians; they're negative about him, so he probably won't end up there.
No, they're drafting a quarterback.
Oh, they're going to. Oh, I'm not saying they
From
keep
the mock
him.
drafts,
They wouldn't keep him for the starting position.
No.
But they might keep him to compete for the starting position.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the best idea is to draft a rookie, and have him start right away. I still think that there's a learning curve, but they're not doing that anymore.
You got two recent examples of
I know
the guy in Texas.
Yeah, well, Stroud. I mean, that's such a 1 in a million thing that these.
Then the guy in Carolina.
Well,
he had no supporting cast.
Yeah, nobody there, and you look at Mac Jones in his third year. His first year, he was all pro, did great. He had what's his name, coordinator there. Then he didn't, and then Daniels, and then he doesn't have any. Yeah, who's evaporated. I don't even hear his name anywhere for any position. So who knows where he's ever going to end up? But we'll see. And the defensive coordinator is I can't remember who it is, but somebody related to Quinn out of Atlanta, I think it was. Yeah, it's an open book right now for them. I predict maybe 500. I think if they did anything, well, they can't do 500. You can do, 9 and 8, 8 and 9. I think if they got 7 wins or more, that it would be an improvement for looking towards the future. Well, it's not going to be a quick turnaround. They got too many holes. They have no offensive line. Defense has been the better players were traded away, so on and so forth. So I'm just, you get kind of numb to your rooting for your own, heritage team when they don't really look like they can get any better. Now they're putting money into it, so we'll see how it ends up.
Now our boss, also a big commander.
So what did he say?
He said he likes the pick. For one, he thinks he's a good coach, and two, if you can hurt somebody in your division, it's a plus.
True.
Taking him away from Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a fairly good defense until they played the Packers.
Yeah, that was an aberration. It was a weird game.
So that was his take on it.
Yeah.
He likes him, thinks he's good. He likes the whole foundation that they're laying there.
He went to Salisbury University.
Yeah. Kid can't be that wrong if he's gone to
One
SU.
of our members, our club champion here, has a fun story about Dan Quinn in college because they went together, and it's not a bad story. It's it's a funny story, really. Yeah. And he told it to me, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So he could go up to the stadium and walk and say, hey, Dan, I know, hey, we got a seat for me somewhere. They'd probably find one for him. I don't know that he would, but
he probably.
But he would have that familiarity with the college
for their friends.
Maybe the local element and he'll be accepted, but acceptance only comes when them W's start to add up.
So, yeah, you're not.
Or at least you're trying to do things that lead to W's.
Yeah.
And that's how Detroit. Dan Campbell went in there with a new attitude and created a whole new culture and how to talk and act and think, and he was in every game. And I remember 2 years ago, maybe it was his rookie season or at least his second season. I think it was his third season this year, right?
Yeah.
That they were losing, but they were losing by less.
They were losing better.
Quote, within a range of we can flip it. It's not by 20, it's by 3 or 7, and that shows potential. And if you can keep the organization and the players buying into it, I think they got a shot. But so many new coaches, so many new situations. It's why we love the NFL.
Oh yeah,
because not for long. Everything's not for long.
Things change.
Coaches, and players, and
just ask Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
not for long.
And they're already talking about Shanahan. Would it be better for him to go to a new place?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's when the Wolves are really coming around.
Well,
he's been to the Super Bowl, 2 of the last 3 years or 3 of the last 4 years. Yeah. And one. And see, are they the next Bills that went 4 times and didn't win?
He also was the
Jim Kelly went 4 times.
He was the OC when they went to the Falcons, after leading 28-3.
That's right.
So now people are questioning that.
Dan Quinn was the head coach,
yeah.
And yet Shanahan got the blame.
Yeah.
For calling the wrong plays on the offense. But the defense happened to give up a whole lot of points for that to happen.
Yep.
It's funny how the media can really steer the
narrative on where things are going.
So beware.
All right. So that's our take on the football this year.
The season is over.
I'm sure we'll talk about it again next
there'll
time.
Be news.
There's always something happening.
Between now and then, there'll be news.
All right. We're going to talk a little bit. Just a little bit, because we'll get more into this.
We can just touch on it real quick.
But we'll talk about the college basketball season. Before we get into that, I want to talk about Caitlin Clark. Just because on social media, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that, first of all, some people don't think she did this, and this is her 5th year, and it's only her 4th. And then they're saying she takes 40 shots a game and she Last time I looked, she was taking 19.
Okay.
And that she won't be doing that at the next level at the WNBA. It's like, well, maybe she won't get 20 shots a game.
She'll be fine.
She still can shoot from the logo.
Yeah. Well, all that is just an outlier. She's an outlier. She's so good, and that happens in sport. And the social media thing is just the coward's mechanism for stirring things up.
Yeah.
And it's all written, and nobody's accountable for any of it. And so they'll say hateful. So you just got to look the other way.
And I'm sorry, but
yes,
you can tell that she's got talent beyond just being a regular player.
She can take over a whole game.
Yeah, but because she can shoot, and she doesn't just shoot threes.
No, she can drive. She drives plenty.
She gets to the foul line.
She dribbles.
She can shoot
mid-range,
but she's an excellent passer.
Yeah.
And
it's a shame.
And it's the world we live. Yeah. You just hate to see it because all these people, she won't do this. The WNBA has got the best women's players.
Yeah.
She belongs in that, and people come in. Brianna Stewart came in and won an MVP within a year or two. So don't say that these people are going to come in and they're not going to be good right away.
She broke the scoring record.
Yes, last night.
So that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes. So she's the.
I mean, you think about that. The scrutiny that she's under, the media that's following her, the pressure to do that. The fact she can make anything is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
When so she's got that ability to focus and say to herself, just be you and play the way you play, and everybody else, be damned.
And
if you don't like it, don't watch.
Very modest and humble kid because she didn't want them to stop the game, which they didn't. I don't think.
Okay.
They didn't stop the game.
Okay.
They talked to her at halftime. Talked to her at halftime, and she answered, thank you for the support from family, friends, coaches, players. Very humble, and then she said, "But we got to play more defense." In the game she was in, we got to play better defense, and. I think she ended up 49. And I think she had a double-double.
But it shows rebounds. It's a team game.
But
one player really can't win or lose the game.
Yeah.
Your teammates have to step it up.
And right now, and I'm sorry to say it, but I think Clint mentioned it too, she's the face of college basketball. There's not a guy. It's her.
Oh, that's true.
When you think.
Absolutely.
What's great.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you cannot deny the fact that she is selling out everywhere she goes on the road.
Oh yeah, selling seats.
Yeah. I mean, there's everything to sell.
Of course, people want to see her.
I know Wisconsin had the highest.
She's a legend.
They had their highest attendance total in I don't know if it's forever or a long time.
I'd like to see her play.
A friend of mine went to in Maryland games. It was packed, full house.
Sure.
And
the good news is the message to the young women, and I imagine that a good portion of those sellouts in these arenas are a lot of young women, and that's inspirational.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing.
Yeah.
Because it empowers that thinking process that they can maybe be that same way in whatever field or whatever they're doing.
I want to be like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And I'm sorry.
You never know.
WNBA
who's coming out of those stands eventually.
WNBA has some issues with attendance, and
and
if I'm them, I'm all over her.
Absolutely.
And I'm welcoming her with open arms,
No question.
because hopefully people want to see how she does at the next level and get attendance going there.
Yep.
So I just been really irritated by all the kind of negative
stop
stuff
reading it.
said about her.
No, it's terrible.
And I'm.
That's the same way with Shanahan too. The negative stuff is leave him alone, man. He's a great coach.
Yeah, he just took his team to the Super Bowl.
If you think about it, in any sport like what we're talking about here, it's razor edge.
Yeah.
Win or lose,
Mm-hmm.
and man, it's so. I like to do the what if thing. Well, what if Hardman had fallen down and they didn't get the touchdown, or that Kansas or that San Francisco would have won.
Yeah. What if Ray comes up and catches that punt?
Yeah,
instead of letting it bounce.
Exactly. So, but the what ifs
then the whole
are always part of sports.
Yeah.
And the thing about sports is that the ones that seem to end up on the side of the razor to the positive have that unending belief that they will be there at the end.
Yeah.
And somehow the cosmos lines up.
Things work for
them. And that's what those greats. And Brady developed it, after getting confidence with his teams over the years. Yeah. So you knew when he stood on the field with 38 seconds to go and 60 yards or whatever it was, too much time.
Oh, yeah, you left him too much time.
1 minute?
Yeah.
That's too much time.
What was the one game that left Mahomes 13 seconds, and they pulled it out.
And that's the thing is that that filters into the other side, too. They believe he can do it because they've seen him do it. Yeah. And that puts more strain on them and so on and so forth. But in the same at the college level, with the scrutiny paid and all the dollars that are associated with advertisers and everything's, these kids, they're not even 20 years old, some of them, and they're having to deal with all this stuff. Yeah. And to have negative, all the negativity flowing at them is just a shame. But you're always going to have it. Yeah, you're always going to have it.
Especially with nowadays with social media being so prevalent. Anybody, like I saw this guy, and all he did, like I don't know how many different words he used to describe that the WNBA is bad. But I'm like, seriously, this is your take on things?
Where are you reading all this stuff?
Well, I was watching one of the social.
Oh, is that right? And this is out there.
And it's like, and I'm like,
I ignore it.
Who are you trying to be like auditioning here for on your podcast or whatever to be the next?
Well, that's the thing now is that people want to get famous.
Like, Jim Rome used to do that on his show.
Sure,
he'd have guys come on and
just be an asshole.
He'd let him. He'd just let him go.
Yeah,
and just their take on things.
Sure,
and he'd be Rackham, and one guy, JT the Brick, got a whole talk show. He got into sports talk by being on taking that, and that's all I think of with this guy. Because it's so. All it is he's just throwing negatives at this.
It's just hyperbole. It's not real.
Yeah, and it's like
it's a show. It's kind of
your take is useless. Yeah. Like I listen to people who have something, even like people on like TikTok or whatever, Reels or whatever you're looking at. I'll listen to people who sound like they know something. Right. This guy just sounds like he's throwing out junk to be like, ooh, look at me.
Well, even like Mike Florio, who's lawyer, but he's turned into the like preeminent, like almost a foe of the NFL because he's always coming up with why don't they do this, how should they do that, and but he says some outlandish crap, but it made him famous.
Yeah.
So. Guess what? It works.
Yeah?
It absolutely works. He's the one that called out, said that going into San Francisco, that Baltimore would get the crap beat out of them. And it went the other way.
Yeah.
And so Lamar said something about, hey, Florio, this is what I got for you.
Right.
You got a 38-point win or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so Florio went back in and said, yeah, well, guess I shouldn't have said that, huh? So he had to back it off. But he was probably being genuine at the time, but he was being outlandish. But he got a ton of press, was what I'm saying. Yeah, and it was stuck in the player's head, and so on and so forth. But
some guys,
I think Caitlin's going to be just fine. And
I do too. I think you're not going to see much of a difference. She ain't going to take 20 shots a game.
Is her life's goal to be in the NBA? I mean, WNBA? Probably the NBA, the WNBA.
Yeah, and then
she does want to do it.
Oh,
do we know that?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
everybody who plays wants to be at the highest level.
I guess that's
once
true.
You get to Division I, you want to keep going.
Right, you would think. Yeah.
Some people know that they won't get to that level.
So their tournament is the week before, week after.
It runs concurrently in a way.
Similar, yeah.
It's like Thursday, Friday, and they're like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
They lost last year, or they won.
They lost.
They lost
to
in
LSU.
That's
and
right.
Angel Reese and the big controversy of.
That's right. Yeah.
Show me I got the ring.
Right.
And taunting.
So winning the big tournament would be a real big thing for.
Yeah, I don't know. South Carolina.
Is it Iowa?
South Carolina. Yeah. South Carolina's playing well. they're always a
I'm
threat.
going to keep more of an eye. I now have more time to watch these many other sports that are out there more often. So I'll have to tune in one night.
There you go. All right, we're just briefly at college basketball. I have not seen a lot of college basketball, like different teams. I've watched a couple of my teams, and I haven't seen a lot of other games. But real quick, here's the latest top 10 that I got. UConn, Purdue, Houston 3, Marquette 4, Arizona 5, Kansas 6, North Carolina 7, Tennessee 8, Duke 9, Iowa State 10. Out of those, I've not seen any of Iowa State, and almost no Houston or UConn. So I haven't seen a lot of. I've seen Duke. I'm a Duke guy, so I have a lot of. I've seen a lot of Duke play.
Well, the parity
and the other ones I haven't seen.
Parity from top 10 and on down through top 50, if you want to really go be real about it. Any team can beat any team this year, more so than ever before. It doesn't matter about the rank. Purdue lost to an unranked team at home. Kentucky lost 3 times in a row to unranked, or 2 times in a row to unranked teams at home. It's a staggering number of losses by ranked teams, top 20 teams this year, at home to unranked teams. So there's just so many more good players with these other teams that they can get hot.
Yeah.
And I've been following a little bit because I want to see what the difference is. Because oftentimes I've stopped doing it, but I would wager on the favorite, would look like a no-brainer, and they lose. And so I go in and I look. Well, that particular night, this player that in the portal came over from Notre Dame the year before, and he was their hot shooter.
Yeah.
Well, that particular night he goes 8 for 11 from 3, and 12 for 14 from the floor, scores a career high whatever points, and they win by 1 on the road against a top 10 team. That's how it's done. Is that they get this one night out of bottle of lightning, and boom.
But
that's the game.
It can happen that way, especially in basketball.
Happened before.
Somebody can go on a hot streak in basketball.
Florida Atlantic went straight through the roof last year and got to the final.
Yeah.
So you look at them. I think they're down a little bit further on the list, but there's a lot of teams that are potentially Final Four teams for sure. A lot of it will have to do with the draw. It'll be a luck of the draw situation.
Now, our good friend and my brother, Steve, said, "Hey, tell me what your thoughts are about UConn and Purdue." And I said, "I haven't seen enough."
They're the 2 best right now.
Right now, I think they're 1-2. They're in a little bit higher.
I watched Purdue play Wisconsin in Purdue.
I watched part of that game,
and they were clearly the better team.
Yeah.
It was a very good game.
Yeah.
It was back and forth. It was well played. Not a lot of fouls. That Edey, the guy's 7'4".
Yeah.
If he gets it down low, and he's pretty nimble.
Yeah.
They say he's not NBA nimble. And, is there a spot for him in the NBA? We're going to find out. But he gets the ball and he gets it into the hoop.
Yeah.
And he defends very well too.
Right.
So without him on the floor, it's a different team, completely different team.
Sure.
And so they have to manage his time, appropriately. So, and when they do, they win, and they win most of their games. I know they've lost a couple though. UConn, I think, has just got that base of players, or they got a couple new players. Because the one guy that was the MVP last year moved on to the NBA, and I just heard it.
He's in Milwaukee, isn't he?
But he didn't even get drafted.
Yeah.
He was the player of the year in college, didn't even get drafted.
Yeah.
And he came out a year early. Just think if he'd stayed, he would be on that team. This should be a tough team. But it just shows you how much talent there is once you leave school. To have one of the better players really struggle to get into the NBA and get playing time.
Yeah.
They say you ain't getting many playing time, but. Houston's a powerhouse. Houston was a powerhouse last year, high-scoring team.
Yeah.
They just run and gun. And see, it's a matchup thing. Virginia plays pretty well. I don't think they're in the top whatever.
No, they're not in the top
I watched Duke and North Carolina one night, and
don't get me started.
It was one of the teams looked terrible.
And here's the thing.
Which one was it? Duke, right? They lost.
Duke looked bad.
Yeah.
And
then Carolina the next night or the next day lost.
Game before they lose to Vanderbilt.
That's what it was.
Handled Duke, I thought, relatively easy.
That's right. And
then the next game they lose again.
But think about who's playing.
Yeah.
It's college men
Yeah.
who are, by definition,
Yeah.
a little bit crazy anyway.
Yeah.
So
It's
you don't know who's going to show up.
And
That's the thing.
And here's the thing: to me, UConn and Purdue have stayed closer to the top of the top 25.
Yes.
And that's all I can base it on.
Yes.
So I think they're a little bit ahead of every. Houston's been, they're what? They're 21-3, but they've not dropped too far down.
No.
Marquette dropped down for a while and then moved
Marquette's
back
coming
up.
back. That's good.
Arizona, they looked hot. They were number one for a while. They got
lose
5
some weird
losses.
games. They have a terrible record in the
Kansas
postseason.
Might have been preseason number 1.
That's right.
And
Lost some bad games.
Yep,
They
they've
lost
lost
some
5.
games, yeah.
North Carolina is hit and miss.
But the thing about it is now is the regular season doesn't mean anything. I mean, other than the seeding
To get to
and
the
potential
tournament,
to get to the tournament. Everything's based on the tournament. I remember when we're going back a lot of years, maybe decades actually, to when and it was a big deal for a kid like me who was into basketball, was a 14-year-old, whatever, in 1974, and John Wooden's teams out there at UCLA were undefeated every regular season, and there was no doubt that they would win the tournament. The tournament back in those days was 8 teams, I think, and they just zipped right through the tournament, and that's that.
If I'm thinking right, though, NC State won that year.
They may have in '74.
That's when
David
they had
Thompson.
Burleson and Thompson.
Thompson, yeah. So that may have been. So there was a streak. Well, Notre Dame ended the 88-game streak sometime, and I just remember that.
Yeah, I remember that game too, Dan.
Because it was a big deal. 88 games.
John Shoemate was on that
John
team.
Shoemate and
Danley? Was
Danley.
Danley on that team?
Adrian Danley. Because he was a DeMatha graduate. DeMatha's up in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
So but that's long since important.
Yeah.
Nobody,
It used to be just the conference champions played.
It's the same thing that's happened in the NFL. Kansas City had 5 losses with 6 games to go, and they won all 6, and then they won 3 or 4, whatever it is, 4 or 3 in a row.
Bills did that to get into the playoffs.
And the Bills did that to get into the playoffs. So it's really where you start playing your best. And I think these coaches don't worry about these losses and as much as
they're not as impactful.
Before. They're not as impactful, exactly.
Because you know what? You can have Marquette 18-5 right now. They could be a number 1 seed. They're the 4th ranked team in the country.
There you go.
So that you're jockeying for position. As far as seeding, and
that does make a difference.
I think
historically.
And there's a lot of pride in winning the conference tournament.
Sure.
And speaking of that, and you talked about this, when you mentioned 74, I don't know if I told you this or not. If you get a chance, it was on the ACC network. It's called The Tournament. It's a history of the ACC tournament.
Really?
From when it first started till about whenever they did 2022.
There's some major big games in that over the years.
You want to talk about like
crazy
our age people.
Yeah.
And then like flashbacks when they're talking about, David Thompson and Len Elmore and
Tom McMillan on the
I was gonna say he's from we had a chance to live and work at Mansfield University and live in Mansfield. He was from Mansfield, PA.
Oh, is that right?
And people would tell me stories how Lefty Drizel would go up there and he was there at midnight the day they could sign.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what they told me.
I believe
that Lefty was there waiting for the 12:01 a.m.
sign him.
The first chance to sign the guy.
Yeah. So
and but you hear all of these names from even the 60s, guys that I didn't, Jack Marin. I remember having a basketball card. He played for the Bullets.
Yeah.
But all these old time guys that in our youth were like, wow.
It's fun to look back.
And so it's like a 10-part series.
And
so if you
on
get
the
a
ACC
chance,
network?
it's called The Tournament.
I think I actually get that, so I'll have to go
And
look that up.
and if you get a chance, there's your tip of the day. Go ahead and watch that. But we'll see. It's in the middle. We're in the middle of the conference tournament season, and things will start to shake out as we get closer. We'll make sure we do something for the tournament.
Bracketology coming up.
And we'll talk more in depth about it. I don't feel like I've watched enough to.
Better be
to
in front of that TV.
But I'll be. I'm not going to take the whole weekend. Every Thursday and Friday I'll take off so I can watch.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sick. Just so I can stay home and watch.
All for the show.
The first Thursday and Friday, when they start at noon, boy, those are the best basketball days in the world.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're looking
That's
for
just
upsets. It's like, come on, baby.
It's like start
Come on, 16.
Drinking at noon.
Come on,
Here
number
we go.
16, beat that one.
Well, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. And then it's also when a lot of red ink comes out on my brackets that I got to cross out that I've lost those games. So, but we'll talk more about it then. So, anything else you got?
No,
Masters coming up. You got a pick?
Masters is coming.
Who's your guy?
The thing that I'm looking forward for that is some of the live players being able to play against the
PGA
the tour
guys.
players.
Yeah.
The fact that Rahm is not playing, it doesn't really impact too badly.
Right.
But I'm just really disappointed he chose not to stay where he was. But and Hovland is a good pick for the Masters. But Hovland can be a little streaky with his putter. If he's putting well, he'll be there at the end. He'll be there on Sunday vying for the title because he just hits it so solidly.
Yeah.
There's a couple others that
Scheffler. He's playing well, isn't he?
Oh my goodness, the man hits the ball at the flag every time. Literally every time. When I played, I was a heck of an iron player. I mean, I just started it at the flags. That guy, he's way above my pay grade.
Yeah.
And he hits it so far and he hits it straight. But I saw a clip yesterday. He was 3 under total for the day. And he had a series of 5 holes where he hit it 10 feet and under and didn't make one of them.
Oh.
He's burning the edge. So you add on, let's just say he made 2 of them. So then he's 5 under. Let's say, he's a little bit high. He makes 3 of them. He's 6 under. Well, the low score was 7 under for the 8 under for the day.
Yeah.
He finishes in the top 5, being the worst putter in the field.
Yeah.
It could have never happened. It never can happen. The putting is the equalizer.
Yeah.
And he's giving shots back to the but he hits par 5s in 2, and he 2 putts. But he's already won the Masters, so he could be a favorite.
He might be,
because he's still ranked up at the very top of the world players. If he can just keep saying about missing all these putts, then I think he'll be fine. He's playing in the Riviera tournament. I was just watching a little earlier. He's right near the top of the board again.
Yeah.
And not putting worth a hooey.
Yeah.
So a guy that has that kind of mental strength is going to be in the final, groups probably on Sunday at the Masters. Tiger's playing. There's a sentimental favorite. You can see when he takes a step, everyone says, "Oh, he doesn't look bad." I watched Tiger for every tournament for 20 years.
Yeah.
Or whatever, 10 at least, because that's he was playing all the time. He don't look like he's a happy man when he's taking a step.
Yeah. And
the body's broken down. He had a shank on the last hole yesterday, full out, hosel rocket, and he called it a hosel rocket. He said his back spasmed as he came through, and it locked up, and he just threw the club down, and off it went into the right trees.
Yeah.
And he ended up behind a tree, and he had a miracle shot to get up on the green. But he's always, he's the guy that moves the needle, or is the needle, they say. And, so having him play at the Masters will be fun.
That'll be good, yeah.
Brooks Koepka, I miss watching him at Live, so on and so on. There's just so many good players that aren't playing on the tour now that you kind of wonder how they're going to fare when they get to the majors, because they don't play the same kind of schedule that the tour players are playing. But there's such murkiness now as to how that whole thing's going to be resolved.
Yeah.
Right now, 2 separate tours.
Yep. That's it.
See you later.
So.
But that's all I got. How you guys doing?
Going on, man.
All right. Well, that's it for now, I guess, then.
Thanks. Yes, sir.
Until next time, go out there. It's time.
Stay warm. It's cold here.
Do something inside.
Yeah, it's cold.
Inside pickleball is always fun.
We got some crazies that do play golf this time of year.
Yeah, even as cold as it is here, there are people playing. So And that's
But
it for us.
We're ramping up for the season. Skipjack Pass is still available.
There you go. That's the best bargain you're going to find.
Get it before March 1 because it's going up a little bit. Just a little bit.
All right. There you got it.
All right.
All right. Till next time, Jack, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon.
Okay.